Hello, how are you? This is the fifth video of the series Perception Change of Reality that I have been recorded for the past few months. Welcome to this video. My name is Ruth Morales and I am behind Change of Reality, which is a perception of reality above itself. I know you have heard this many times from me. I've said it many times before. I repeat it all the time. And if you are watching this video, it's probably because you have watched the previous four, so you've heard it many times before. So let's remember that when I talk about perception, it's a view about on reality above itself that eliminates everything that we believe about reality, everything that has to do with analysis, description, knowledge, description. Uh, they're all beliefs, feelings, memories, thoughts, suppositions, mysteries. All that is on the horizontal line of experience. And I want to transcend that. I'll try to transcend that in order to communicate this to you. You have to understand that this is very complicated. At the same time, it's very simple, easy. But it's complicated because I have to use the form, I have to use language. Everything that I've said not to use, analysis, belief, thought, language, everything I said don't use it, I need to use it in order to explain to you that there is a perception above that. That's the only way we can understand the no time, the concept of no time. That is perception. I've said it in my previous videos, but I have to repeat it. When you understand the no time, that is perception. What does that mean? That means that when you are really perceiving 100%, using percentages, that means that you are above everything. If that were the case, we wouldn't be here. We couldn't be here. The fact that we are here, the fact that we are characters in this play, means that we don't have 100% consciousness. This is also very logical. I'm not making this up. No one came from beyond to tell me. This is pure logic. It's common sense. Just common sense. So I'd like to summarize here and insist on what is important. To have a position here, to understand where we are, so so that I can continue to transmit change of reality, to transmit this perception. I have to position myself here from this perception, and you have to do it too, because if we start from belief, from knowledge, from that line, if we start from description of reality, the description of reality others have given us, because we always take what others have given us in order to interpret reality. So if we start from there, we are already making a mistake from the beginning. So everything will sound incoherent for those that start from there. I'm not starting from there. I'm starting from a perception now, here, right now. And I'm inviting you to place yourself in this same position. Let's say that we are in a room and there are a group of small children in this room. This is just an example. These children are in that room where there are many toys and they're playing with them. An adult walks in and the adult sees what's going on, and he says, well, there's no danger here. Everything is fine. Everyone that is listening to this understands that the perception, quote unquote, what the children believe at that moment is not the same as what the adult is believing. The adult sees more than the children. The adult realizes if there is danger. He can supervise the area as a whole. The child does not. That's what I'm inviting you to do. not to be in the room like a child. Step outside and be able to have the perception of the adult. I repeat this often, but I have to use forms, language. It's difficult, but can be done because I'm doing it. I have to use language, numbers. Uh, they're tools, beliefs within the play. The languages are tools, languages within the play. But I need to use that in order to transmit this perception. Um, that's the only way I can reach you. But I always have to bring you back to the point from which I am communicating this. And it has nothing to do with the language I'm using, nothing to do with form, with external form, with numbers, with knowledge. This is very important. In spite of the fact that I have to use knowledge in order to bring you here and talk to you about it and help you perceive. To perceive is to obtain a higher percentage of consciousness. And consciousness is not something that is stopped there, precious, divine, pure, as a concept. That's the concept we have of it sometimes. Consciousness is a movement, is pure action. It's clean, creative. It has enormous power, wants to expand because it is action, and action wants to move. So we here in the play, we here as characters, are not or are don't come here directly from that consciousness, because even though the play is action, because it's emotional, and emotion is action from the perception of change of reality, although the play is action, this kind of action I'm talking about is not in dual direction. So the character, you and me, what I call a character, when a character obtains a higher level of consciousness, he or she cannot have a model, cannot have a purpose of good. When he or she truly starts to perceive and realize what cannot be described, when you realize that this is a play and there's no good or evil, that's when that character, you, me, acquire a higher level of consciousness. This means that although we're still a character, we eat and drink and make love and laughs and cries and things hurt and give pleasure, this character has a higher percentage or level of consciousness. And this is what I'm going to try to explain in this fifth video. I say try to explain. I have already perceived it and I want to put it in words. I'll use everything within my possibility to give it to you the way I can do it today. Maybe tomorrow I could do it better, but here and now I'll do my best to transmit it to you. We always have to have in mind that we are limited by a physical brain and a form, a shape. That's why I'm asking you to place yourself in perception, in the position of perception. You are the adult that walks in a room and you see children playing there, and your perception will always be above all of the children. Even if one of the children is a genius, and you as an adult, you are not an intelligent adult, but you're still above the children in consciousness, in perception. The adult perceives, and the child is a character. even though the child may be, as I said, a genius. He is still a character. When I talk about the interpretation of reality, this is also important. What I want to say is that we are born, this is the line of life, that's the past, the present, and the future. When we walk into the play, we are born into the play, we don't have a memory. We see the play, we see things moving around, things are going on. What do? We imitate. There is an imitation, a conscious imitation. And there is a high percentage of imitation that is also unconscious. This imitation, it's not just mental or mind. I don't like to use those words, spirit, body, soul. It's all the same. It's part of the character for change of reality. How do we interpret reality? How would that imitation be? This is what others are doing. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do the same I see others do. And that's the belief system. We imitate the belief system. There's nothing above us that is telling us, you have to do this. There's not a cause that makes us behave in a specific way. It's just imitation. This is also logical. On the other hand, we describe reality as cause and effect. And what we do really is to imitate. And not only we are imitating at this level, we also imitate at the cellular level. Our cells imitate each other. The cells see what other cells are doing and they do it too. So we are in a parenthesis of the play, in an act within the play in which the script is already written. Let's remember the mirror. Identity with its entities or sub-identities. This identity with these sub-entities is constantly looking at itself in the mirror because it wants an answer. We are the answer. Therefore, in each act, there is a script. And even at a cellular or atomic level, there is an imitation. So this says a lot. This indicates a lot because we believe that things that are happening now didn't happen before, and that's not the case. In our mind, we think that it's a new experience, that there is a cause and effect, an evolution. Why? Because we have done research, because we want to know, we want to live better, for example. And we don't realize that we are in an act of the play that is predetermined beforehand. This is an act that we have all created through identity. Then we don't need a cause to have this effect. This is simply an imitation within our unconsciousness. We come into the play and we do what we see. I am born in this environment and I talk the same as my parents talk. I don't talk the same as people on the other side of the earth talk. I speak the same way my parents do, and I do the same things the people around me do. And this imitation extends through space at a social level. From within cities, within countries, people do what they see there. This is what I want to transmit as change of reality. The character never, ever interprets reality from himself or herself. For this reason, that for what I just said, the character always interprets reality from the imitating the collective, by imitating the collective through science, through culture, art, anything that has authority, knowledge. Of course, science. Science encompasses almost everything. Maybe in the past it was religion. Religion had an authority that helped you interpret reality. But now it's science. But we always interpret reality from the authority of someone else. So there's something that gets my attention often. I know people that take some type of plants, drugs that change or alter their consciousness. And they see us as a tool to connect with other experiences, to have other experiences. For me, all is fine. Change of reality has nothing against all that. But I use this as a way to explain change of reality. Change of reality is not against anything. I'm not against or in favor of anything. Actually, what I want to do is do away with truth or false. So I was talking about these people that experience things through plants. And someone told me years ago that when he took those plants, that helped him to become self-referential. I didn't ask what he meant by that because I thought, okay, self, he refers to himself, self-referential. But that is just another belief. It's another belief within the play. The fact that you can name it, I am self-referential, maybe that in itself is a script. I don't even know how to explain it because for me it's logical. It's one more script within the play. It's another act within the play, another role. Maybe you are better than before, you feel better than before, and we all know what that means. Well, fine, go ahead. But I have to use these so that people don't get confused. Because some people believe when they hear about change of reality and they come to me, they tell me that they have had those experiences. I've already been in the attic. I already know what you're talking about. What do I do now? What I've used this as examples, like about the attic, but that's not the way. Another thing I want to say and be firm about it is that this cannot be labeled. If you want to label change of reality, you can do it. That's your own business. But that has nothing to do with what I am trying to convey here. Change of reality is an open system, it's an open model. It's perception, just perception. So when this person told me that he was self-referential, all I have to say is that it's impossible to be self-referential because that would be perception. And when you are self-referential 100%, that means when you perceive 100%, you cannot be here. As long as you're here, you're a character and you never have a 100% consciousness. You are within the frame of time, cause, and effect. So in change of reality, I try to make that frame less and less necessary. My intention is that we use it less, that we use it only in emergencies. When we absolutely need a frame to act in a practical way within the play. But that's not the purpose of the play. There's no purpose in the play. The purpose is within the identity, the subconscious mind. It's within the room. An identity is a consciousness that another consciousness created when it wanted to stay still. This is a metaphor to understand movement. It's a circular movement because it's always the same, because the three times are there at once. That's why I always put a circle to represent the subconscious mind, because it doesn't matter which point of reference you take, up, down, right, left, east, west. There's none of that. It's just a circle. That's the subconscious mind. That's the identity. And these colors I put here have to do, or, or what I do, I use them to identify these moments, different moments, birth or death, experiences, historical experiences, because it's not the same what someone feels in the prehistory or what a person feels in the 21st century when faced with the first stimulus. They're different frequencies, they're different radio stations, to call it something. Identity has the purpose of being. That's identity. And my terminology or the words I use and the way I use them is very simple. I try to be very simple to make it clear. That's why I name the same thing with different words. And I want to leave it very clear, make it clear that they all mean the same. Everything is the subconscious mind, the soul, identity. I call it being. Those are all the words I use for the same thing. It's not the action of consciousness, it's not the source. It's not the source. And some people ask, how can I connect with the source? Is this good? Is this bad? Good and evil are within this circle. You don't have to try to connect with the source. You are connected already. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You don't need to connect. You're already connected. So let's make use of these connections so they assist us while we disconnect ourselves while I perceive. I position myself. And the ideal position, the ideal place is to be in the non-concept. When you talk about subconscious minds, identity, being, describing the play, it's all a concept. Identity is a concept. If it were not, it could not be. The word to be is another concept. When I question myself, who am I? That old question that we all ask ourselves and creates anxiety and dis-ease inside of ourselves. Who am I? Where am I going to? Where do I come from? Those questions come from the subconscious mind, and you get the answer from the subconscious mind as well when you ask it. You want to know who you are. What is the purpose of being here? Why do you come here? Where are you going? What this is? They might be the ideal questions when you want to find something, to begin on the path of finding. You are starting a search in order to find. You don't want to be always searching. You want to find. And the person that finds, the finder, is the person that perceives, finds the position and perceives. There's no feeling there. Perception doesn't have form or shape. That perception means you understand the no time. You understand this circle, that everything is happening at the same time, and that this is amazing to understand this, that everything is happening at once, at the same time. Then you eliminate cause and effect. You stop interpreting reality according to others, according to religion and science and philosophy. When we talk about food, for instance, nutrition, we give some authority the power over our nutrition. Look, that where we are, as long as we're there, we continue to create horizontal lines, paths to continue to believe in that, to believe others can tell us what's wrong or right. But I can assure you that if there is something good, There has to be a reason for that to exist, for that thing that is good. We have created it. We have created that as a purpose. If you say this is good for this, so something has exist there, because creation within the play is a number two. It's never a number one. That is science. It's something different is that I eat something and I feel well. It sits well with me. But when you start learning, you realize that it doesn't matter what you have eaten, what you've had, or what are the components or of that, because really it would not be existing. All that you've had is a tool, as an emergency tool in the play, because you're a character in the play. This is what I call interpretation of reality. Change of reality is not an interpretation of reality. It actually eliminates the interpretation of reality. As simple as that. And going back, allow me please to go back to a video I recorded a while back about reality from the perspective of the building, of being in a building. I talk about a black smoke. This is a metaphor, symbolic. When you are on the ground level, on the street level, whether you're on, also first, second, third level, you see the smoke. Everybody sees the smoke. But the lower you are, the more confused you are. But when you're on the higher levels, you're also confused because you have to give the people on the ground level a reason for what's going on. Sometimes you even lie and you believe your own lies. So everybody is confused. The lower you are, the more scared you are because you don't know where the smoke comes from. You don't know if it's going to hurt you. We don't know who has provoked that or what's going on. Is it good? Is it bad? So the higher you go on the building, on your way to the attic, you acquire more consciousness. And from the attic, you realize it's a shooting of a movie. It will still affect you. The smoke will affect you, but not as much as the people that are at the lower levels. But everybody is affected because this reality is emotional. And emotion is action, is movement. And emotion is fear. So everyone has fear, from the low level to the top. So when I talk about the development of consciousness, I explain that energy, when it stays at the level of identity, does not flow freely. Why? Because I have already given that energy an intention. I've told that energy, come here, I lock it up in a room, which is the subconscious mind, the soul, the identity, and I tell the energy, now I'm going to use you and you're going to do this. I'm going to use you for this purpose. So it's not a free energy anymore. And I call it energy to call it something. Energy is a power, is a force, is a fuel, but it's not free. It's trapped air in a balloon. It's not flowing air. It's air that I have trapped in a balloon. And that's when I explain that it's emotion plus belief. Because energy, why did I put that energy within a room? In order to give it a purpose. That's what identity has done. Why do I inflate that balloon? It's just a piece of plastic. Why? Why? Because I have a balloon now. I want that balloon. I make a balloon. Otherwise, it would be just a piece of plastic with a specific shape. So that energy that is at the level of the subconscious mind, that I've called it the net, I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to add more, but that identity has a purpose. It's not free. It's between or among four walls. That's what I call emotion. because it's movement. The energy moves, of course. That's what energy does. But since identity is taken and then it's locked up to look at itself in the mirror, energy has a dual direction, is bidirectional. And that's what I'm doing with the purpose of creating an identity. I'm helping identity to look at itself in the mirror. And at the same time, I am behind the mirror because identity needs that for being, for existing. Therefore, creation is a number two. And that emotion, that is nothing but energy, collapsed energy at the level of identity, is experienced as fear. Why? Because since identity, when it looks at itself in the mirror, and let's look at the picture here again, identity looking at itself in the mirror and says, I believe I am this thing. Great. My purpose is being, is happening. And I look at myself in the mirror. The other that is on the other side of the mirror, that is ourselves too. We are the projection of the desire of that identity of being. We don't say, I believe I am. We say, I am. So, since this is a belief, because identity is saying, I believe I am this, that's great. My play is taking place. So identity will always answer because it wants to live, it wants to be. My play is happening, is being, and it's a belief. We don't know it, but it's a belief of identity itself. We live within a system of beliefs. This is very important. What I'm going to say now has to do with fear also. Why? Why the experience is fear? I'm going to explain that. It could be for many other reasons, but this is the simplest one. We, who are the projection, this physical universe is the projection of identity, our language is the belief system, but we don't know. Please, this is so important you understand. This is common sense. This is only logical, because if we knew, we would not be here. If I dress up like a princess, and I don't know, this is just clothing that I have put on, I don't know, I'm not a princess. I'm acting because I'm an actress. Someone comes and tells me, listen, you are not a princess, you're just dressed as one, it's just an outfit. But I will defend my idea that I was born a princess, I look around, everything seems to tell me that I am a princess, my father is the king, everybody around me calls me a princess. It's just a dress, it's a disguise. I don't think I am, I am, when it's really just a belief. From the moment that the princess realizes that she's just acting in a play, her character will be eliminated, will disappear, and all the other characters that function in relation to her will also be eliminated. Because if she's not a princess, the king is not a king, is not her father, and there's no kingdom, and there's no people calling her a princess. That's to acquire a percentage of consciousness, is to get rid of the belief, get rid of the concepts, so you can perceive. So since that doesn't happen to us here, because we continue to act in the play, we act from our belief systems. And what happens with these belief systems is that we are already on the other side of the mirror. And what I just said is something we ignore, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And the belief system is a dual system. That's also logical, and we don't see it. If I believe in something, if I believe in the fact that there is a color that is called red, for example, that means that I believe that there is another color that is not red. This can be translated in general that when you believe in something, when you focus on something, when you interpret reality from something, that means that you are creating the opposite because you have to believe in that. For me to see red, there has to be non-red, things that are not red. Therefore, the belief system is a conflict system, because when you understand this is when you perceive. When we understand that this is a game of beliefs, then you can perceive. That's what I mean when I say we have to eliminate beliefs and then we believe the concept that is behind the beliefs. I talk about this when I do my talks about change of reality, how to eliminate the cause and effect system we're in. That is the summary, but more in depth. I talk there about the no time. So this has to be known, understood. The concept is the matrix belief, and that creates or that gives room to other beliefs. When you realize you don't keep moving to another higher concept, that's what people believe. When you move from one belief to another, you think you eliminate the previous one. It seems so, but you are not eliminating it. You are just adding another belief to the previous one. A belief is never by itself or alone by itself. Beliefs come added one to another. So you just jump from one to another. From the matrix or the original belief, you move to the next one. It's as if the princess was told, oh, you're not a princess. Okay, I'm not going to be a princess anymore. I accept it. But then I'm going to be a peasant. And she changes her outfit and now she thinks she's a peasant because she realizes she's not a princess. And she says, okay, I feel better in the role of peasant. That doesn't change anything. She has just changed from one character, being one character to another. She continues to be in the play. When you are within the belief system, and in order to be here, we need the beliefs. I mean, it's not that we only need the beliefs. That's the language of the play, Since we do not understand, we don't know that belief A makes us also believe or not believe in belief B. We will not understand what this is all about. We will continue to live in a constant conflict. One belief gives room for another belief, creates another belief, and that sustains the play. And the emotion that sustains this play, the conflict that sustains this play is fear. It's all fear. Even love. Even love is part of that fear. The love we feel is part of the fear. It's the other side of fear. Love and fear, they're the two sides. So once you understand this, everything falls apart. And people don't understand this. People say, well, what are you talking about? They are so connected to interpreting reality as love, hate, good, evil. We're here to save the world. Humankind has to move towards good. They think I am the devil when I say these things. No, I'm simply trying to communicate the perception I have and offering it through these words to others. When we understand that reality in the play is held by conflicts, because we have understood a belief A creates belief B, which is the opposite, and there's that conflict. Once we understand that's the situation, even the people that are at peace also have conflict, because peace is another conflict, it's another belief within the play. He or she who is at peace also has conflicts. Maybe at that moment he or she is at peace with himself or herself. But once you start to perceive and eliminate conflicts, you are more at peace with yourself. That's true. I mean, quote unquote, I would say you're more at peace. But reality apparently gives you the opposite of what you believe, because in reality the play moves, advances with the emotion of fear and beliefs and conflicts, and things go on, and you believe something else. That's why many times many times, even if you think you're at fear, you are at peace, you are not comfortable, because you feel that you're a character that has understood that the play has no meaning, no sense, and you feel empty. You feel, what am I doing here? What am I doing on this play? I don't want to continue to be an actor in this play. But you cannot get out, because even the wish to want to get out keeps you more anchored within the play. That's the strength of identity. Everything you wish for, identity will give it to you. You don't want to be an actor because you have understood that this is just a theater play? Fine, I'm gonna create an act and a role for you, in which you believe you are not part of this play. You believe you are not an actor. And this is what happens with the new age, the new religion. People that call themselves self-conscious. They think they have woken up. They think they are already in the attic. I see everything. I understand everything. I realize this is all a play. But they are creating another play, a new play in which they have their own room. They have a place where this identity exists through you, through these new characters that are projecting this new belief. So they are now models for the mass. They're models of good. And we others say, well, I want to be that. I want to be a conscious being, totally balanced. That's also another belief. Everything, absolutely everything. And since we are moving into this new religion, this new age, new characters within the play will come to agree with us and tell us that we have it right now, we understand now. Because that's what the play wants us to be. Nowadays, with technology, we can communicate in a nanosecond with anywhere in the world. But that is not the way we will achieve perception. It's useful. I'm using technology to reach many people, to reach you. That's wonderful. And this will reach those that need to hear this. And some will have a click, something will click, and they will all of a sudden perceive. But for everybody else, this would be something else. One more thing they hear. They will not understand it, they will criticize it, or they will label it. It's okay. Okay, what's going on now? I hear a lot of people say that uh, we are now more people waking up to a new reality. We are all going home. We realize this is the moment. We are at the moment. From change of reality, I say this. This is just a new scene within the play. Why? Well, I talk about this more at length in my talks, and I don't want to get off track here with what I'm talking about. But identity in itself knows that this is happening, that we are all changing, but this is all within. the same scene. Identity needs more characters for this new radio station that is now broadcasting full force, full strength. This is just a new identity that I would call an entity. Let's go back to this picture with the apples and pears. Pears would be, for instance, the new age, the new consciousness, what we call new consciousness, which is wonderful. I'm not saying this is bad. Remember that I am not going in favor or against or of anything. I'm not defending anything. I'm not criticizing anything because for me it's all the same. Those who understand what I'm saying can follow what I'm saying. This is just a new scene, a new scenery. Since information is so fast now, there are more and more people joining this new age, this new religion. More people connecting with this new radio station. Since identity wants to exist, identity will favor this. So we all think we are more connected, we're on the same wavelength, and we think something is going on, something is happening, we're waking up. There's nothing happening. It's more of the same. This is just one more belief. This is not an awakening of consciousness. This is not a higher consciousness. This is just another character within the play. The same as we went from the Cro-Magnon man to a new human, this is a new character. We talk about indigo children and all that. It's the same. They're just new characters of the play. We are just transitioning. We think we're transitioning. We've always been transitioning. It's simply that now we talk about it more, so we think we are at the perfect time in human. We are at a key moment in human history. We're not. We're not. Consciousness always needs a lot of characters to develop this consciousness. Each character needs to believe that he or she is unique in order to create the entity. So that entity is, which is only one part of identity. Identity is one. But I am dividing it, subdividing it, so that this sounds more familiar to us. Because from here we're going to move down to the individual characters, me, you, each person. It's like spreading this. So we gather it all back up because it's all the same. So there's nothing new going on at this time. It's another belief. And remember what I said in one of my previous videos, that in order for an entity, for instance, pairs, the new age, a new being, a new conscious human being that is divine, that is connecting, whatever we say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. For that to be, to exist, something that is not, that does not exist, must also be. For this new consciousness to exist, there has to be something that this entity, this new consciousness, this new human group is not. What is it that we think it's not? It's the dark side, the bad side, everything we consider bad. That could have happened in the past or may happen in the future, because this entity, in order to position itself, let's remember that three times happen at the same time, needs of what is not. And if I don't see it in the present, but we can see it in the present moment, maybe we are creating it in the past or in the future. That we do not want, we are creating what we don't want. Once we understand we're doing this and we eliminate it, is that when we wake up, it's a responsibility. That's why people gather in groups, because they have something in common. They think they have something in common, and they do. They are on the same wavelength, and the situation will give them more reason to believe they are correct. And they're so immersed in their belief system that they are creating the other side, the other part that could have happened in the past or may happen in the future, that is exactly the opposite. It's exactly what they're rejecting, because the new age is focused on good. Going back home is focusing on good. We have to go back home because this is terrible. Everything around here, imagine what's going on in the world is terrible. So I have to go back home. I'm creating a new character, a new role. Identity is so happy. Okay, here we go. Something new to create, something new to do. I'm not saying there's not a going back home. I'm talking about perception. Once our level of consciousness is higher, we realize they're all belief system. And those people that really perceive don't even mention it. They don't talk about it. They don't say anything about going back home because not everyone is going to go back home. And this is what I will talk about in the next video.